This is the sweatiest game in VR. Hello everyone and welcome to Until You Fall. This is probably one of my favorite games in VR. It's like a arcade hack and slash type deal and I've enjoyed it so much. Version 1.0 just came out there on Steam, so the full build of the game has been recently released and it looks great. I've wanted to do a video on this one for a while, but it's a very fast-paced game, and when I was trying to record in the past, it just looks like chaos on screen. So I'm gonna try and build it up slowly so it doesn't just look like flailing and absolute nonsense. The premise of the game is pretty simple. Kill people, get more power, upgrade your weapons, kill more people. To kill an enemy in this game, you gotta break down the guard bar, and in the footage here you can see I'm dashing into the enemy, kind of lowering his guard bar, but it jumps back up if you don't do it quick enough. After hacking away at someone for a while, their health is exposed, and during this time you can cut in critical swipes. You want to cut in the direction that the yellow line is telling you and you'll do extra damage. And listen to me when I tell you now, when you hit a big long streak of perfect swipes with the shing, 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 you feel like a bloody samurai. It's great. There are different weapons to choose from, and each weapon has a different ability. The weapons that I was using there was that big sword there on the right and the dagger just to the left of it. These are the two starting weapons, and each weapon has its own ability. For example, the sword has an ability called Bulwark, or as I prefer to call it, the arse-saving panic button. This basically gives you some armor, so next time you get hit it doesn't take away from your overall health, which is incredibly helpful in a tight spot. The dagger in my other hand allows me to hit someone with a stasis strike. This freezes an enemy in position for a little while, giving me some breathing space or some time to think in hectic situations. As you progress through the game, or as you die, you will collect ether at the end of each round, and that ether can be spent on upgrading your weapons, so you stand a better chance every time you go back down the path. And not even this will guarantee you victory, because you need to learn some real world combos, so you can flail your arms around in some sort of organised manner, thinking you look deadly, but you don't. To somebody looking at you, you look like you're having a seizure. But I feel cool.
I thought you'd like that one.
Anyway, to battle. When you're fighting lads, you gotta lift your sword up to match where they're swinging from, so you see a blue line pop up, boop, boop, and that will stop you from taking any direct damage. Blocking also lowers down your enemy's guard bars so you can get your swings in after you block a few attacks. Once you begin down the path, you start encountering different types of enemies, and the further down the path, obviously the harder the enemies. At the start here we see that above their health that they only have one health bar and a small amount of guard, so they're quite easy to get rid of. Other guys, not so much, but you'll see them in a little while. To stop players from doing what everyone did in Skyrim VR, where you just get your sword near somebody and waggle it really quickly and kill everything, the developers introduced a couple of different mechanics. Short, quick, repetitive swings won't work here. You do much more damage with a wider arc. At the end of each area, you get to pick a new upgrade, and these are random every time you die, so you might not get the same build necessarily every time. Currently in my hand there I have a combo limit, which allows me to hit someone one more time every time I break their guard, dealing a little bit more damage to their health, meaning hopefully I won't have to break their guard again. There are a fair few different upgrades to cater to different playstyles. You can put all of the upgrades into your weapon, which will give your weapon more magic ability, like recharge rate or damage, or whatever suits your playstyle. I activate my weapon's ability, block, and then hit him, and then stasis. He can't move there for the moment, and it gives me opportunity to fight the other guy. And then he comes out of it, and then I can fight him too.
Good work.
Thanks, voice in my head. Don't mind her, she's crazy. Here you can see three different upgrades. The one in the middle is Dash Impact, the one to the left is Ether, and the one to the right is a magic upgrade for your weapon. You can see in the footage here that I nearly broke it with my left hand, but then I quickly swapped to my right, whoop, and I break it with my right hand, because whatever hand you break the crystal with goes to the weapon that is in that hand. These feckin' idiots. Alright, see if you can keep up with the swings. When I first started this game, I cannot tell you how much trouble I had trying to fight these guys. Satisfying. As I was saying earlier, the enemies get tougher and tougher. This guy's a long way from that green guy with 1 health. He's a lot more health and he's a lot tougher. He also has some different moves that require you to dodge and not just block, so it mixes things up a bit. So here I activate my ability Bulwark. It's been upgraded a little bit and it can take more damage and last a little bit longer. The game is getting gradually more intense now, with more enemies coming toward you at once. At the start, you'll probably notice that there was mostly only one person coming at me, but now, not so much. Stamina management is pretty important because the games go on for about 20 minutes if you're getting pretty far. And one of my favourite things about VR is that you have to manage your real-world stamina. You have an advantage based on your real-world physicality, which is kind of crazy when it comes to video games. So in the coming years, expect to see some buff nerds that think they're really good with swords. So wrapping up, I think Until You Fall is a really good VR game. It's a little bit different from other ones. It really requires you to be very physically active when you're playing, unlike a lot of VR games that don't really have that so much. They want you to kind of stand still in case you break everything in your room and blame it on the game. Until You Fall just warns you at the start and is done with it. I often introduce a lot of non-gamers to virtual reality because they wouldn't have the system to set it up on or not, and I usually try to show them different ones like Beat Saber or Space Pirate Trainer. I then try to take into consideration their thoughts and when they come out and what they said about the game afterwards, because it's harder for me to do it now because I have my VR legs and I don't find comfort as much of an issue. But everyone who has played this has said that they felt fine afterwards. For the amount of stuff that's going on screen, usually the comfort you think would be an issue, or you get motion sickness. But Until You Fall does a really good job of not having that with using the dash system and your slow walking. No game is perfect, so there's always going to be a few criticisms, and hopefully these won't turn you off the game. I definitely think that there could be more enemy variety. For instance, sometimes I feel like I've been killing the same dudes over and over, and I'm pretty sure that I can count the amount of enemies on one hand. Let me see. The knight, the green guy, the other green guy, the dude with the big shield, and then the boss guy. Yeah, that's kind of it. Oh yeah, and the witch bitch. What's that, 6? Okay, so maybe not one hand, but still. I'd like to see more enemies. Oh, speaking of which, there she is. The bitch. When I started looking into this to do my review, I've seen a lot of people were talking about procedurally generated maps and how they weren't procedurally generated enough. I looked around and I couldn't find anywhere that it said that Until You Fall has procedurally generated maps. I don't know if people were just assuming that games do that now all the time or what the crack was, but anyway, I think the maps could probably be improved on a little bit by maybe adding in some environmental traps or something to kind of interact with the environment. As it stands, you can't do anything besides hit stuff with your swords. You can't use your hands to grab stuff or anything, so it might be interesting to see if they could introduce levers or maybe traps. Maybe I could work on some other game modes as well. As I get into the swing of it, it's kind of weird because it's swing. But when you get into it, you're in the zone and you're blocking everything and you're doing so good. I wish there was a bit of a benefit sometimes for hitting somebody in the head, or if you know, with the guys with the shields, if they hit them in the leg, or if you could hit them in their arm with the weapons, that might slow them down a bit. Maybe they could introduce a system for hitting different body parts to do different effects or more damage, just to add to the longevity of the game or to try out some other different mechanics. I'm not trying to put the game down here. I genuinely really do enjoy this game, and it's really good fun. If any of those options were to be implemented into the game, I'd like to see them, but not in the game as it is. I'd like to see maybe an option for it or a different game mode for it, because what they have now is really good. The features that I have talked about are just kind of spice of life, a little bit more variety for anyone who's been playing it for a while. Anyway, look, at the end of the day, Until You Fall is a really good game, and I really enjoy it. Saying that, the day after playing it, after an intense day of playing it, your shoulders can be pretty sore. It is a workout. It's crazy. And even if you're looking here at the moment, you can see how frantic it gets. And in reality, when I was playing it, I'm sweating buckets, and I'm out of breath by the end of these fights. Later on in the game, it gets nuts. I would highly recommend checking out this game. If you're looking to do some exercise even, try it. Just give it a go. I'm convinced that I've lost some weight just by playing this for a couple of days. It's really good. Great work, Schell Games, on making a brilliant game. Thank you all for watching my video, and the absolute best of luck. See yous now.